Welcome to Module 4 of the Ultimate Client Feeder System. In the last module, we dealt with your media platform. Here we'll look at a number of media items you can use with that platform. One is most certainly a book. You'll want at least one book that is a positioning document. It basically explains your philosophy and methodology, what you do, why you do it as you do it, and why that is so much smarter and superior to what everybody else is doing. Most ad men of the golden age had such books, including Hopkins and Ogilvy. Later, ad agency rainmakers like Rapp and Collins and Reese and Trout followed this same path. My friend and colleague Sally Hogshead has done it brilliantly currently. These are all people you should research, paying particular attention to the books they've put out and how they've used them for positioning and promotion. Early on, I was narrow-focused on writing long-form sales letters and wanted to be known for that and for a method or system of doing that. So my first book, self-published as a spiral-bound manual, was How to Write a $1 Million Sales Letter. I was light in portfolio, so it showcased some of my work, but also my critical analysis of sales letters and copy that I had nothing to do with, this still serving as demonstration of my intelligence, depth of knowledge, and capability. I sold this book for $39 to as much as $199, and I gifted it to potential clients. In its second year, it became the book I used to interest a literary agent in representing me, and it got picked up by a small publisher, Adams Media, where it came out as a paperback, The Ultimate Sales Letter, in 1981. It was immediately followed by a broader positioning book, The Ultimate Marketing Plan, in 1983. Both have stayed in print with this publisher without interruption all the way to 2013, over 30 years, on bookstore shelves, at Amazon, and for several years sold in all the Kinko's stores. These books succeeded at whale hunting on their own, bringing me clients for speaking engagements and for consultant plus copywriter engagements. They also served in place of brochures as material sent to potential clients arriving by other means and points of entry. Later, I developed the No BS series of books published by Entrepreneur Press, which have broadened my consultant plus copywriter positioning to include expertise in marketing to the affluent and marketing to boomers and seniors. The main positioning title is the No BS Guide to Direct Marketing for Non-Direct Marketing Businesses, second edition. If you want to see a good example of a positioning book, I'd suggest getting it. The most recent No BS Guide to Brand Building by Direct Response is an almost twin brother to the Direct book, further making the case for applying direct response strategies to any and every business and trying to reach up the food chain a little to bigger corporate whales. As I said in the last module, you do not necessarily need success in the traditional book publishing space to use your own positioning book. Most of my books are there, but I didn't start there, and I've still entered or re-entered niches with self-published positioning books sold or offered free. I did it in the speaking niche with a small book titled Big Mouth, Big Money, which later evolved into a full info product now sold at gkic.com/store. I did it more recently in the financial advisor space with a small self-published positioning book called Creating Trust. A copy of one of the lead generation ads in which this book was used is included in the samples and documents with this module. This was the centerpiece of organizing a user group of about 60 financial advisors, each paying $1,000 a month for access to a collection of copywritten marketing materials and tools delivered over a 24-month term, along with business coaching. After it served its market entry purpose, it was expanded into a full-size real book published as the No BS Guide to Trust-Based Marketing. That was followed, by the way, by a seminar and is now birthing a $2,000 info product. This book has also directly brought 2 clients to my door, one of which first bought 50 copies for his sales force. Let me again emphasize, you do not necessarily need success in the traditional book publishing space to use your own positioning book. Here, for example, is a book by people I've coached in information marketing. They own an unusual and exceptionally profitable mattress store and have perfected a variety of ads, marketing pieces, and strategies for it. They are now branching out, providing consultant plus copywriting services, licensed use of their content and advertising, and coaching to other retailers. This book is the main media item they're using in attracting those clients. As I was preparing this module, they were in their 4th month of this activity and have signed 7 clients to 12-month contracts, the largest of which is for over $100,000. Their book is self-published, built for use as a positioning tool. Similarly, my client Ben Glass's book is a positioning and promotional book for his company, GreatLegalMarketing.com, which provides marketing and business services to lawyers. Ben, incidentally, has an integrated relationship with a Kennedy-certified copywriter for info marketers, Kia Arian. Kia writes copy and does full graphic production work for hundreds of law firms each year, referred to her by Ben. One more example, Adam Whitty's book, a positioning book about using books for promotional purposes, titled Book the Business. This is published by and for his publishing company, Advantage. I contributed several chapters to it, which for Adam guaranteed its promotion by me in my universe, and for me got promotion of me and of GKIC, as well as a whale hunting expedition in his universe. None of these books required an agent or a publisher or a year's delay. You just do one. You can use a company like Adam's to very professionally guide you and provide every needed service under one roof, even a Talk Your Book service, so you don't actually have to write it. Or you could e-publish with Amazon and Kindle, or self-publish. It's just printing and binding. A lesser alternative, but also another media piece you may want to have 1 or 4 or 40 of, is the special report. As an example, a copywriter I've encountered through AWAI has an excellent report appropriate for owners, executives, and marketing people with health, wellness, and nutrition companies. Like a full-blown book, this report demonstrates her expertise and depth of knowledge in this field and suggests ways she might be retained and utilized. Similarly, Kia Arian, who I mentioned before, puts out different reports for different audiences and situations. The one reproduced here with the documents in this module was created specifically for her exhibiting at one of my seminars. I've created a media platform for myself within GKIC and the IMA with a 6 times a year newsletter just for info marketers, it alternating with a different special report 6 times a year. These reports demonstrate my depth of knowledge and demonstrate different reasons to have me write sales copy for an info marketing business. I've included a sample here. The recent one on the power of angst brought forward a nice writing project from a past client, and it stimulated a large amount of feedback, so I repurposed it and included it in an info package I gave out when I spoke in 2014 at the Titans of Direct Marketing Summit put on by Brian Kurtz of Boardroom. That was a whale hunting expedition for me, and this report will do a fine job of impressing potential clients there who are sophisticated direct marketers. In the same vein, there is the positioning article. You'll use all the articles you write and get published or that you get written about you, but you should work to get a positioning article published in a place that is ideally read by, but at least known and respected by your potential clients. A positioning article, like the book or report, makes your case. It lays out your philosophy, your methods, and why they are superior, and it demonstrates your depth of knowledge about the area of expertise you would be hired for as a consultant plus copywriter. The article obviously does this more concisely than a report or a book. I've had about 8 of these over 30-some years. The most recent one was in Success magazine. I've reprinted it here in this module. Within a month of its appearance, it directly brought forward a new client who has, so far, spent over $150,000 with me for consulting and copywriting, and ads I wrote for him are running in about a dozen national magazines and many major city newspapers. It's significant that this company owner was already in my own media platform, having bought and read several of my books and opted into GKIC email, but it was this article in Success that completed his gestation. That's the only whale snagged by the article so far, but it has served and will continue serving as my main positioning media item, sent to every potential and new client, included in other media, and distributed when I speak at events until it gets replaced. Its reprint value is high, and its reprint life can be long. There is also the aura of as seen in success, which you might want from many magazines, trade journals, or newsletters. In this module's documents, I've reprinted an article by a consultant plus copywriter I do not know, which appeared in Target Marketing in June 2014. It does a good job of positioning her and demonstrating her depth of knowledge. It has reprint value, and she has, as seen in Target Marketing, to use forevermore. Another media item I urge you to develop is at least one monthly print newsletter. I have done them aimed into niche markets I wanted clients from, notably including the professional speaker market, with a newsletter launched in 1979 called Marketing Your Services, and one used in the chiropractic and dental professions called Practice Building Secrets. Both were sold by direct mail as paid subscriptions at nominal profit to establish myself and to create a feeder system and to whale hunt. I also made key influencers and select target client subscribers acting as if they had subscribed when in fact they hadn't. The current flagship newsletter of GKIC began as mine, the No BS Marketing Letter. It started with 4 subscribers getting Xerox copies. Today its subscriber base fluctuates between 4,000 and 8,000, and its reach exceeds 25,000. Inside it I have my Dan Kennedy letter. This is the foundation and glue of my entire media platform, and it is the heart and soul of my client feeder system. Potential clients get a good dose of me every month, and they mature and grow ready to step forward and retain me as a consultant plus copywriter. There is also the No BS Info Marketing Letter, which serves the exact same purpose for me in the info marketing industry, from which about 2/3 of my copywriting work comes. If I had not billed these on a paid subscription model, I would still be doing them as free subscription controlled circulation publications to a more carefully chosen target audience. Going back to the original Marketing Services Your Letter for professional speakers and seminar promoters for a minute, it can serve as a good model for you in establishing yourself with a small selected audience in which you know there are potential clients you want. At the time I started it, there were fewer than 3,000 people in the National Speakers Association, the trade association of the industry. I literally went through its directory of speakers and their descriptions of what they did by hand to eliminate those I didn't want to solicit for various reasons and to pick those I would be a secret Santa to and act as if they had subscribed. There were about 50 of them, then about 2,000 to try and sell subscriptions to. One funny thing that happened right out of the gate was a speaker calling and asking if I would write a sales letter for him, like the one I'd sent out for my newsletter, for a cassette of the month product he wanted to start with his audiences and customers. I got a client with no solicitation for clients and no gestation term, just on the strength of demonstration. That client has returned to hire me more than 10 times, as recently as last year. Out of the group organized by this subscription, who I got to show up to every month, I got client after client, one every few months, some small and done and gone, some big and staying and doing one project after another. On this same model, let me describe something I could easily have done currently that I didn't because I'm not aggressively seeking a lot of new clients, and I'm very well fed by my existent feeder system. Within the GKIC newsletter stable, there is a monthly No BS Marketing to the Affluent letter in its 5th, maybe its 6th year, which I write. It began as an extension of my book, No BS Guide to Marketing to the Affluent. It developed only a small but loyal subscriber base of its own, offered only internally to GKIC members, and 2 years ago it was bundled into Diamond membership, greatly enlarging its readership, but eliminating its separate fee. Anyway, it is a newsletter exclusively about affluent and ultra-affluent consumers, what they buy, why they buy, what they do, how to attract them, and related matters like price strategy and price elasticity. It includes news, trends, field trip reports, and from my standpoint, most importantly, marketing strategies and copywriting advice and examples, my demonstration. and just published within GKIC's media platform with no reach to outsiders, it has brought a client forward to me on a few occasions. Now here's what would be easy to do. First, I could create a golden target list of the owners, CEOs, and marketing executives of luxury goods and services companies that sell to the affluent. Pretend they had subscribed. Send them my book, their first issue, and a new subscriber welcome letter, and send them their issue every month, and let it whale hunt. Virtually every company advertising in the Robb Report would be a potential client. If I were a fledgling copywriter seeking local work, I could aim it at luxury sellers to the affluent, high-end apparel, jewelry and home furnishings retailers, med spas, cosmetic dentists and surgeons, financial advisors, top-price restaurants, and on and on. Second, I could send it to publishers and editors of advertising, marketing, luxury goods manufacturers, and related trade journals, and let it bring invitations for me to provide them with articles, to quote from it, excerpt from it. Third, I could create marketing to sell subscriptions to it to a wide range of luxury retail businesses, creating bottom-up whale hunting. This is how I could quickly establish myself and be known to a target audience in a specific niche in which there would certainly be good potential clients. Another media item is a speech or a seminar, which may also be adapted for online video or for live webcasts. My most famous main speech for about 15 years was about magnetic marketing, and I have a 75-minute, a 90-minute, a 2-hour, and a 3-hour version. I began giving it to small, local audiences free. I wound up giving it to audiences of 5,000, 10,000, as large as 35,000 people, and getting paid well for doing so. It is a positioning speech in the same way that the positioning book, report, and article function. I also had a positioning seminar of 3 hours just for chiropractors and dentists when I was working that market. I've always sold info products with these presentations, but they can be used instead to feed people into your media platform, and they are whale hunting expeditions as well. Let's talk about small ball. I'll give you 3 examples, any one of which might work for you. Thanks to a client, I was one of 5 experts on a panel in a breakout session at a Direct Marketing Association convention about direct response TV and infomercials. Unlike the other experts, I made sure my answers broadened the discussion, made it clear I was a copywriter dealing with all media and integrated media, not just TV, and making the case that a great TV campaign was wasted if you didn't have a complete back-end marketing system with sales letters, booklets, catalogs, newsletters, and so on. I worked in a lead generation offer of a free report. I whale hunted. As a direct result, the executives of international correspondence schools came to me immediately, and I did 2 copywriting projects for them, neither one involving TV, providing 6-figure compensation. A number of others put themselves into my media platform with free report requests, and that later produced another client, from 1 hour on one panel in one small breakout session. It's not the size, it's how you use it. At national, state, local conventions and conferences, at events by organizations like GKIC and niche industry boot camps, there are a zillion breakout sessions and a zillion panels. If you'll do them free, you can get in. If you have even one client now who likes you, he is certainly a part of some association or group that holds conferences that he can help you secure a spot at, and one begets another. Next example. With a client, I created a mastermind group of about 60 financial advisors from different parts of the country. He provided a lot of industry-specific training, coaching, and information. I presented at each meeting on broader advertising and marketing subjects tweaked to them, serving as demonstration for me and whale hunting for me. I was compensated well for my participation, but you wouldn't have to be. And if you study and infiltrate the information marketing industry, as fully taught in my Writing for Info Marketers certification program, you'll find a lot of niche leaders with small but mighty mastermind group meetings 3 to 4 times a year that you can get into as a guest expert. In this case, I extracted 3 individual clients from this situation, one of which spent over $100,000 with me on copywriting. Last examples, very, very small ball. I have a theory, well proven, that even in the worst audience, there is often one whale. He is swum in there by unhappy accident, probably doesn't belong there, and you'd be surprised to find him there. So first, local. Many years ago, I was speaking at a breakfast meeting for a local group in Phoenix where I lived at the time called Salespeople with a Purpose. There were about 25 there, seemingly very ordinary salespeople in real estate, insurance, cars, and so on. They took turns introducing themselves and passing out their business cards and then hit the buffet for eggs, then sat down to eat while I did 20 minutes. This is about as bad as it gets. But I did an abbreviated version of my prospecting sucks, attraction is better, piece of my main magnetic marketing speech, did lead generation with a free report offer, and threw out a little whale bait describing a case history of me creating a series of lead generation letters that liberated a salesman from cold prospecting hell and had good prospecting chasing him, making it known I consulted on such strategy and wrote such copy. No whales swam over then. But about 2 weeks later, I was contacted by the husband of a woman in real estate who had been there, who she had briefed, who had then gotten my free report. He owned a mortgage company, employed 6 sales reps, had them prospecting through real estate agents, and did a lot of lead generation advertising on the radio. He also owned a land development company in New Mexico. He turned into $50,000 in copywriting fees. That was in 1978, by the way. One more, same vein. When I was aggressively working the professional speaker niche for clients, I spoke for free at a very small seminar held annually by an elder stateswoman of the industry named Dottie Walters, who published a gossipy newsletter called Sharing Ideas and largely appealed to rank beginners. I went as a favor to Dottie, as she had been a supporter of mine, and it was as I feared. About 70 or 75 people, easily identified as very small-time operators, beginners, amateurs, not good client candidates for me at all. I did my standard truth-telling presentation about speaking being a terrible business, but a great media to build a business with. Most hated this truth and sat stone-faced and left disappointed, except for one guy seated toward the back. He sought me out. He was the original founder of Sylvan Learning. He'd sold the company for a large sum and was looking around, beginning to position himself as a speaker for the entrepreneur and mid-sized company owner market. I did a significant amount of consulting and copywriting work for him over the next year. Your own seminar can also be directly promoted, filling seats with people you have reason to believe might be potential clients. Seminar marketing is neither simple, easy, or inexpensive, so it's beyond the time we have available here and the scope of this program, but it deserved mention. Putting the same speech and seminar content in lecture, whiteboard talk, PowerPoint presentations, interview, and video course formats online in your media platform and driving client candidates there to watch it can also be productive. A consultant plus copywriter selling template-based websites, local search optimization services, and email marketing campaigns to dentists and to lawyers who I've advised, and have been asked not to name here, uses cold direct mail and trade journal print ads to push potential clients to a 60-minute video presentation at a website, which is the same speech he has given live at industry events, which offers a one-on-one consulting call for a fee. Then on that call, a choice of 3 marketing service packages, including copywriting, is sold. It is costing him about $250 to get an eligible client to log on and view the presentation. 1 in 4 are doing calls, thus a $1,000 per prospect on call cost, and 1 in 3 on the calls are purchasing a package priced upwards from $10,000, thus a $3,000 cost to sell $10,000 in services. And there's additional ongoing revenue potential with each client. He began doing all this himself. After a year, he has 3 commission-compensated agents doing the calls, a salaried staff writer doing 90% of the customized copywriting, and his net income for the first 6 months of his second year topped $240,000. This has become a scalable and even saleable company, but you certainly don't have to grow such a thing in order to use the same method for obtaining clients. The last media piece I want to mention is the full-blown info product. Such a product is typically multimedia, meaning printed material, audio CDs, sometimes video DVDs, and now often extensions of online content. These are built to be sold for several hundred to several $1,000s. You can see an entire catalog of mine and others at gkic.com/store. Most of what you see there is back-end or backlist product. That means it was built for and is predominantly sold to existing, established customers. You'll also see branded info product groups or collections, like my Renegade Millionaire collection. That ties, incidentally, to a Renegade Millionaire article on the back page of each issue of the No BS Marketing Letter. In all of this, there is one flagship info product that was built as a point-of-entry product, and most importantly as a positioning product called a magnetic marketing system. This is what we also call a front-end product, because it is designed for orientation, indoctrination, and motivation of the new customer. There are some whale hunt elements embedded in it as well. Like the positioning books, this product has the purpose of making my case for direct and target marketing, and is a subset of that for direct mail. Because it is a full product sold for a good price, it contains instructions and templates and tools for the do-it-yourselfer, the small business operator, solo practice operator, and salesman. Any butcher, baker, or candlestick maker can use this as a kit to put together his own sales letters and marketing campaigns. For the whale, it is demonstration. For the whale who uses it to educate himself, it leads him naturally to the conclusion that it'd be best to get the guy behind this generic system to create a complete customized marketing system for his business. That's me. This is not a course in info marketing, but I would suggest to you that you will benefit greatly from having at least your own flagship positioning product, and that you should investigate and consider developing your own info marketing business behind it. This is a great way to monetize non-whales and to be your own copywriting client. The week I was finishing this module, I heard from a consultant plus copywriter who said she was averaging about $700 a week in entirely automated income using a simple strategy to sell a single info product, 90% of which a collection of copywriting samples. She's using a licensing model and a niche business model I've taught in depth in the business of copywriting, available from AWAI. For about a year, she wrote different sales letters, email campaigns, and newsletters for a small local healthcare practice, got paid relatively low fees, but retained rights and had pre-agreed use of results. She put everything that worked into a notebook and on a CD, wrote a sales letter about it, which she pushed out by email to all the other practice owners in the nation, driving them to a short additional presentation and online ordering, offering it for a cheap, no-brainer price of $297. Most weeks she sells 3 to 4, and after costs of fulfillment, nets about $200 each, averaging $700 a week. She was in her 20th week when she reported to me. No, this isn't caviar and diamonds money, but it helps pay the rent with steady-as-she-goes money. It has also, so far, raised up 3 clients who've hired her individually. Finally, in this module, I'm going to reveal the secret to making all media items as productive for your purposes as possible. I'll start by telling you about the mistake the overwhelming majority of freelancers make with media items like books, as well as reports, articles, newsletters, and so on. I call it self-imposed editorial purity. This may be fine for journalists and literary writers and editors of august publications, and for writers whose purposes are to inform, educate, or entertain. You have a different agenda, best served by discarding any bow at all to editorial purity. Your agenda is to move people from a media item into your media platform, or if already there, keep them engaged, and more importantly, to get some of those people to rise up and be clients. These purposes write their own rules. There are 3. Rule number 1, often, in many places, in many ways, be lead generating. That is, directing readers or audience members through some door into your media platform. As an example of what not to do, most authors put one and only one direction to their media platform on an allocated page at the end of their book. You should have multiple places where you direct the reader into your media platform, including such a message at or very near the front of the book. In most of my books, the first such direction occurs very early. In No BS Trust-Based Marketing, it is in a side box on page 2. In brand building, there is a direction embedded in the text of Dave D's preface in 3 different places in the space of 9 pages. And these are books where I have to negotiate these matters with an editor at a real publishing house. If you are self-publishing, you have greater freedom. In books, reports, newsletters, any media item, do not wait until the end to invite movement into your media platform or another next action. Do not make such invitation once. Do it early, do it often, do it in different ways, which can include a reference right in the flow of the text, in a set-aside box like a resource box, has a footnote, and at the end of a chapter. In my No BS brand building book, my co-authors of 9 of the chapters have a direction to a different online video at the end of each chapter, and they do it for different reasons. A free report to get, a free video to watch, a set of samples to see, a test to take. An excellent offer that I used for a couple decades was a free copy critique of any one ad, mailing, website, or other marketing material. Admittedly, this creates a time-consuming inflow, but the ones not coming from potential clients or whales can be identified and dealt with by standard form letter with variable paragraphs, by a form with check marks, or by a staff person. The ones that do shout from a whale can be responded to by you with personal and detailed letters, including suggestion of how you might aid the client beyond the critique. I have gotten a lot of clients over the years by this method. Last year, I obtained 3 new clients directly from these critiques, one worth only $20,000, one worth about $70,000, and another worth about the same, $160,000 in total. I have never openly advertised free critiques, as you see copywriters doing in trade journals or at their websites. My critique certificates have been dispensed inside my books or other media items, inside info products, and with newsletter subscriptions, almost always to someone who has spent some money on the book, product subscription, or seminar registration for which the critique is a reward. Other offers are, as already mentioned, free reports or other media items, online mini-courses, tickets to webcasts, or free trial subscriptions and memberships like the GKIC offer. So, rule number 1, written by our reasons for putting media items out, is to abandon all thought of editorial purity and pepper the media item throughout from start to finish with opportunities, reasons, and directions for the person consuming the media item to enter the entire media platform and to proceed with more and increasing engagement and involvement. Rule number 2, train those who become interested in you and your ideas to be active participants and to respond to offers by taking action, rather than just being passive recipients. You accelerate gestation with activity, not passivity. And remember, you want the activity, the engagement, and responsiveness occurring within the confines of your own place, not spread out all over the social media spectrum where competitors lurk, chaos and confusion spill like toxic waste in an oil spill, and distractions dominate. Each time you get a potential client in gestation to raise his hand and ask to be provided with yet another media item, or to return to your space to watch a new or different video, tutorial, interview, etc., you accelerate gestation and increase the likelihood of him stepping all the way up and saying, "I'm ready to retain you and work with you one-on-one. How do we do that?" Or, "I have a need for X, Y, and Z. Will you write that for me?" Passive consumption of content has a much slower and unpredictable effect. Having a large email list of people merely willing to let you keep sending them email, or having a large number of Twitter followers, Facebook fans, or LinkedIn buddies is playing in the sandbox. It's really childish. It's a cheap means of feeling good, a confusion of activity with accomplishment. Only when somebody moves into your owned and controlled space and begins directly responding to you and requesting information from you do you have a fish on a hook. The rest is just meaningless counting of fish meandering around in a lake with your boat and a lot of other boats adrift in it. Or as the CEO of Google called the online world, quote, a giant cesspool. He said it, I didn't. You won't like hearing that if you're making yourself feel good by pushing out online content to passive recipients and counting activity as if it could be bank deposited. Speakers like standing ovations, too, but they don't really mean anything. I used to have people come up to me at conventions and niches I was mailing into a lot and tell me how much they liked my sales letters and found them fascinating. What does that mean? Nothing. It's all tripe. For someone to become a client, he must be actively engaged, actively responsive, moving toward you action by action by action, 3 to 7 consecutive sequential actions, and if he can be a client, he'll likely become one. Don't breeze by that. I've just given you a formula for managing and accelerating the gestation of clients. Next, rule number 3. Always be casting bait for whales, often, in many places, in different ways. This can be subtle, with what I call dog whistle language. It can be overt. It can even be manipulative. It needs to be done. You should never assume they know they can get to you one-on-one or know what or everything you do. I've always used a lot of subtle references embedded in stories about clients and work I've done for them. In my newsletters, I plant the facts of my availability and the different things I do in examples shown and discussed. In I Get Mail, letters I get from members and my responses, in stories, on the Q&A page, and more. The overt approach includes straightforward invitation to contact you about consulting or copywriting. I tend to couple this with some version of this statement. Mr. Kennedy is available for interesting consulting and copywriting project engagements, schedule permitting. These notices appear in books, newsletters, and info products, along with contact information and instructions. The manipulative approaches often revolve around what I call takeaway selling. The best I've seen happen live was by Gary Halbert. At the start of his 3-day seminar, with several hundred people who each paid $7,000 to be there, he marched on stage wearing a baseball cap embroidered with the words, "Clients suck," talked a bit about how clients muck everything up, and laid down the law that he was not accepting, let alone looking for any new clients. That's not why he was there. Not to pester him about it, and on the exceedingly rare occasions he did take on a client now, the person had to prove himself sane and capable, have no trouble with the initial ante of $25,000 to have an ad written, and have a big and interesting opportunity. But this was exceedingly rare, so no one there should bother him, trying to hire him over the ensuing 3 days. He was busy and not interested. If you understand psychology, you know exactly what happened. This made lots of people who hadn't even thought about trying to hire him suddenly eager to do so. The group was full of egotistical competitive entrepreneurs and players with money, so it was if a drag race in the parking lot had just been announced. And the seminar was a giant demonstration of his wizardry, with one hot seat after another, and in the few that brought real whales to the stage, Gary was careful to drop some whale bait in the water right in front of the guy during the course of the hot seat about his business. He also generously pointed a few whales at other speakers like me. However you do it, you should always take at least one opportunity to throw some whale bait in the water. Even when I am working on a marathon live webcast for GKIC, usually with Dave D. from GKIC, and sometimes other panelists, there to sell a particular info product or event, I find a time or two to reference some work I did for a private client in order to throw whale bait out there. Most don't notice it. Even fewer notice it and understand what I'm doing. To them, just a story or example or outright brag. But the whale notices and understands he's being called. That concludes this module on media items. Samples and resource materials follow.